It starts in a place you wouldn't expect. Not in a Memphis recording studio. Not on a Hollywood soundstage. It starts in Germany. A young American soldier is stationed there. He's famous, more than famous. He's the biggest star in the world. But here, he's just another GI. His hair is cut short. He wears a uniform. He follows orders. The world he knew, the world of screaming fans and gold records, feels a million miles away. This is Germany. In the late 1950s, the war is over, but the country is still rebuilding. American soldiers are a common sight. They bring their own culture with them. Rock and roll, chewing gum, blue jeans, but they are also surrounded by German culture. By the language, the food, the traditions, and the music. The music is different. It's not the blues or rhythm and blues. It's not rockabilly, it's folk music. Songs that have been sung for generations. Songs you hear in beer halls and at family gatherings. They have a certain sound, a sturdy, simple rhythm, often an accordion or a concertina. They are songs about home, about leaving, about love and loss. They are the bedrock of a culture. One of these songs is particularly well known. It's a simple little tune, almost a nursery rhyme. It comes from the Swabian region in the southwest of Germany. It's a song about saying goodbye. A young man has to leave his small town, his Stadel. He has to leave his sweetheart. He tells her not to cry. He promises he'll come back. It's a bittersweet melody full of longing and a simple, heartfelt promise. The title translates to something like, "Must I then leave this little town?" It's a question full of sadness. This song wasn't new. Not by a long shot. It had been around since at least the early 1800s. It was a true folk song, passed down through oral tradition. People sang it without knowing who wrote it. It just existed, a part of the air they breathed. In 1827, a man named Friedrich Silcher collected it. Silcher was a composer and a music educator. He saw the value in these old folk tunes. He worried they would be forgotten as the world modernized. So he traveled around, listened to people sing, and wrote the melodies down. He arranged them for choirs, giving them a new life and ensuring they would survive. He published this particular song in a collection, and it became a standard. It was a song every German knew. It was taught to school children. It was sung by soldiers heading off to war. It was a song of farewell. So, here's our American GI. He's living in Bad Nauheim, a spa town near Frankfurt. He's serving his country. He's also trying to stay connected to his life back home. He misses his mother, who died right before he deployed. He misses his friend. He misses the music, but he's a professional. His manager, a shrewd man named Colonel Tom Parker, is already planning his comeback. The army stint isn't a career killer, it's a public relations masterstroke. The rebellious rock and roller is now a clean-cut patriot. America loves it. The comeback is planned to run a movie. It will be his first film after leaving the service. The title is simple Jive Blues. The plot is even simpler. He plays a soldier stationed in Germany who forms a band with his army buddies. He falls for a local girl. It's a light-hearted musical comedy designed to reintroduce him to the world. A softer, more mature version of the star they knew before. The movie needs songs. Lots of them. A team of songwriters gets to work, but they need something special. Something authentic to the German setting. Someone has an idea. Why not use a real German folk song? It would add a touch of local color. It would make the movie feel real. They start looking for the right tune. They find the one about the boy leaving his town. That old Swabian folk song. It's perfect. The melody is simple, catchy, and instantly memorable. It has that pa-pa rhythm that sounds distinctly German, at least to American ears. The sentiment of leaving a loved one behind fits the story of a soldier abroad. But the lyrics won't work for an American audience. "Was in zum Stadtteil hinaus" is a mouthful. And the story, while sweet, isn't quite a pop song. So a new set of English lyrics is needed. Songwriters Fred Wise and Ben Weisman get the assignment. They listen to the melody. They need a hook. A simple idea that a listener can grab onto immediately. They keep the core idea of a boy talking to a girl. A plea. But they change the focus. Instead of, "I have to leave, but I'll be back," they come up with something else. It's a warning. Don't be cruel to me. Be careful with my heart. And then comes the central image. The hook. My heart isn't a toy. It's not something you can just break and throw away. Why? Because it's not made of stone or steel. It's made of something fragile. Something that can be easily damaged. It's made of wood, a heart of wood. It's a strange, almost childlike image. It sounds like something from a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. It's not a typical rock and roll sentiment. The rock and roll was about hot-blooded passion, about fever, about hearts on fire. This was different. It was quaint. It was innocent. It was perfect for the new family-friendly image they were building. The songwriters craft the new story. The singer asks a girl if he has to go. He tells her He can't love another. He begs her to be true. He asks for one more kiss. And he keeps coming back to that central plea, treat me gently, my heart is fragile. It's a simple, direct message. But they do something clever. They don't throw away the German original entirely. They decide to keep a piece of it. In the middle of the song, the music shifts slightly. The American star, with his southern drawl, sings a few lines in German. He sings the opening lines of the old folk song. Muss sie denn zum Stadtteil hinaus? For German audiences, it was a moment of recognition. For everyone else, it was a novelty. It was exotic, it cemented the song's identity. This wasn't just a pop song, it was a pop song from Germany. The arrangement was also crucial. This couldn't sound like Jailhouse Rock, it needed to sound German. Bert Kaempfert, a German bandleader and producer who would later discover the Beatles, helped with the arrangement. They brought in an accordion, they used a prominent tuba to play the bass line. The beat was a straightforward polka. It sounded like it could have been recorded in a Munich beer garden. It was a complete departure from the star's previous work. There were no wailing electric guitars, no pounding drums, no hint of the blues. It was a folk pop song, pure and simple. The scene in the movie was just as important as the song itself. He doesn't perform it in a smoky club or on a big stage. He performs it in a puppet show. He's sitting on a small stage holding a female puppet. He sings the song to her, and to the audience of smiling German children. It's the definition of wholesome. The former bod boy of rock and roll, who scandalized the nation with his swiveling hips, is now singing a nursery rhyme to puppets. The transformation was complete. Colonel Parker's plan was working perfectly. When NGI Blues was released in 1960, it was a massive success. The world had missed its biggest star. And the soundtrack album was huge. It sat at number 1 on the charts for weeks. The songs from the movie were everywhere. But the record company, RCA, made a strange decision in the United. They didn't release the song About the Wooden Heart as a single. Perhaps they thought it was too strange, too much of a novelty. It didn't fit the rock and roll mold. They chose other songs from the film to promote on the radio. But in Europe, it was a different story. The song was released as a single and it exploded. In the United Kingdom, it went to number 1 and stayed there for 6 weeks. It was a phenomenon. It was number 1 in Germany, France, the Netherlands, Australia, and all across the globe. It was, for a time, the biggest song in the world. People loved the simple melody, the charming lyrics, and the little piece of German in the middle. It was a perfect piece of pop craftsmanship. Back in America, people heard the song in the movie and on the soundtrack album. They loved it, but they couldn't buy it as a 45 RPM single. Radio stations weren't playing it. Seeing an opportunity, another singer, a young man named Joe Dowell, recorded a cover version. His version was very similar, a faithful copy of the movie arrangement. With no official version from the king himself to compete with, Dowell's record shot up the charts. It went all the way to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the summer of 1961. An American folk singer had a number 1 hit by covering a German folk song that had been rewritten for the biggest rock star in the world. And it was a strange, roundabout path to success. Eventually, RCA did release the original version in the United States, but not as a main single. It was the B-side to his 1964 Christmas single. Even then, it still became a hit, showing just how much people loved the song. Over the years, its popularity never faded. It became one of his most requested, most recognized, and most beloved songs. Think about the journey that little song took. It started as a humble folk tune, sung in a regional dialect in a corner of Germany. It was a song of sadness and departure, a piece of cultural history preserved by a dedicated musician. More than a century later, it was discovered by movie producers looking for a bit of authentic flavor. It was given new words, a new meaning, and a new identity. It was sung by an American icon, a symbol of youthful rebellion who is now a symbol of wholesome entertainment. He sang it to puppets in a movie meant to rebrand his entire career. The song then traveled the world. It became a chart-topping hit on every continent. It was a global smash, bigger in many countries than some of his more famous rock and roll anthems. It proved that his appeal went beyond a single genre. He could sing anything. He could take a simple German polka and turn it into gold. It's an unlikely story. A cultural mashup that shouldn't have worked, but did. It connected because of its simplicity. The melody is timeless. The sentiment is universal. Everyone understands the fear of a broken heart. The image of a heart made of wood is memorable and sweet. It's a song you can teach to a child, but it has a core of real emotion that adults connect with. It stands as one of the strangest and most successful experiments in pop music history. A German folk song about leaving home became an international pop hit about a fragile heart. It was a bridge between cultures, a bridge between the old world and the new. It was a product of a specific time and place, an American army base in post-war Germany. It captured the strange mix of cultures, the blending of the old and the new, that defined that era. And in the end, it's one of the defining songs of his career. Not because it was rock and roll, but because it wasn't. It showed his range, it showed his charm, and it showed that a great melody can cross any border, any language, and any generation. A song that started in a small German town ended up in the hearts of millions of people all over the world. A simple, beautiful tune that traveled further than the young man in the original lyrics could ever have dreamed. The song, of course, is Wooden Heart.